Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into 7 really powerful concepts from Japan, all designed to help you conquer procrastination and, build a more disciplined life.
Yeah, this quote, it really sets the scene, doesn't it? It comes from someone visiting Japan and just being blown away by the level of discipline. I mean, can you imagine it? Everyone just naturally standing on the correct side of the escalator, or how a simple coffee spill gets handled with this incredible, calm efficiency. It really points to this deep, shared sense of order.
So, what's the secret here? And maybe more importantly, how can we get a little bit of that magic into our own lives, right? Well, to make sense of it all, we've broken down these 7 techniques into 3 main themes that really build on each other.
All right, first up, let's talk about the techniques that help ground us in the here and now. To stop that mental drift that leads to procrastination and silly mistakes. And it all starts with a method that was actually born from the Japanese railway system.
Okay, so this one is all about snapping out of that autopilot mode and getting into what you might call attentive mode. Just picture this. It's 1913, and there's a train conductor, Hiroshi, and he's really worried. Why? Because just last week, his friend was exhausted, mistook a green signal for red, and caused an accident. So Hiroshi decides to try something new.
He physically gets out of the train, points at the signal, and shouts, "Signal is green." Now, by doing this, he engaged so many of his senses: his eyes, his arm, his mouth, his ears. It might sound simple, but that physical act forced his brain to pay attention. The practice spread, and get this, accident rates dropped by over 80%. Just think about how you could use that to stop making those simple, everyday mistakes.
All right, our next idea comes from a legend, the father of the Toyota production system, Taiichi Ohno. And let me tell you, this guy had zero time for guesswork. So instead of just sitting in some comfy office reading reports, Ohno drags his engineers right out onto the factory floor. He famously drew a chalk circle, told them to stand inside it, and gave them one simple instruction: observe. They had to just stand there, watch, and wait until they understood the real problem, not just the symptoms they were reading about. And then, after hours of just watching, they finally saw it. A tiny, almost unnoticeable delay at one station was creating a domino effect, which then forced the next worker to rush and mistighten some bolts correctly. The lesson here is so powerful. Don't guess from your desk. Go to the source and see the problem with your own 2 eyes.
Okay, now this next one is really interesting, because what looks like total laziness in one culture is actually seen as a sign of incredible dedication in Japan.
It's called inamuri, and it's so fascinating because it's not about being lazy, not at all. It's actually a strategic tool. The idea is that a quick 15-minute power nap can actually make you way more productive than if you just try to grind through that afternoon slump.
Okay, so let's shift gears into our next theme, and you'll see how this builds from that in-the-moment focus to something much bigger, a mindset of long-term continuous growth.
Okay, picture this. You're in a team meeting. The project just hit 112% of its goal, a huge success, right? But instead of popping champagne, the lead engineer says, "All right, let's begin Hansei." And then, one by one, the team members start openly talking about their individual mistakes that caused even minor delays. That right there, that's Hansei. It's this deep-seated belief that no matter what the outcome is, even a huge success, there's always a lesson to be learned. It's an incredible practice of humility, and it's all about committing to getting better next time, which can only happen when you take away the fear of blame. So get this, in Japanese schools there are no janitors, none. That's because of this idea of sauji. When the bell rings for sauji time, the students and even the teachers all grab cloths and brooms and clean their school together. And look, this is about way more than just being clean. The actual physical act of tidying your own space, it creates this mental and psychological environment of order, responsibility, and shared purpose. It's a simple but powerful idea. A clear space helps create a clear mind. Think about Japan after World War II. The economy was just devastated. But they didn't sit around waiting for some big miracle to save them. They focused on something way smaller, but, as it turns out, infinitely more powerful. They focused on Kaizen. Let me give you a classic example of this. You've got a factory worker, right? And he realizes that for every single bolt he tightens, he has to walk 5 extra steps just to grab a tool. We're talking 5 little steps.
I mean, that sounds like nothing, right? Completely insignificant. A few seconds. Who cares? Well,
When you actually do the math, as you can see here, those 5 little steps multiplied by hundreds of workers day in and day out meant the company was losing weeks, literally weeks, of productivity over a single year. Their solution? They just moved the toolbox. And that is the very essence of Kaizen. Huge revolutionary improvements come from fixing thousands of tiny, seemingly insignificant problems.
And all of this brings us to our final and maybe the most important concept of all. This is the engine. This is what gives all the other practices their meaning. It's the why behind the how.
This concept is called Ikigai, and it's basically Japan's elegant answer to that classic problem. Do I follow my passion, or do I focus on making a living? Ikigai says, hey, that's a false choice. Your reason for being is found at that sweet spot where you can have both personal fulfillment and a way to support yourself.
Now, finding your Ikigai, it's not exactly a walk in the park. It takes some really honest self-reflection. You've got to ask yourself these 4 big questions you see here. And your Ikigai isn't just one of these things alone. It's that unique, powerful sweet spot right in the middle where all 4 of your answers overlap.
Okay, so let's wrap this all up. When you put it all together, what you have is a complete toolkit for a more disciplined life. You start by mastering the present moment with something like Shisakanko. You build habits of constant growth with Kaizen, and all of it is driven by the deeper purpose you find in your Ikigai.
At the end of the day, if there's just one thing you take away from all this, let it be the heart of Kaizen. Every huge journey, every massive change, and every disciplined life doesn't start with some giant leap. Nope, it starts with one small intentional step. So the only question left is, what will yours be today?